All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about cybersecurity budgets today, but probably not in the way you're used to. We're going to completely reframe this conversation. Forget just picking a number out of thin air. We're going to explore how to think about security spending as a real strategic advantage for your business. It really all kicks off with this one single question. It's a question that feels almost impossible to answer, and every single business leader has to wrestle with it. If you're running a company, if you're on a security team, I'm sure this has kept you up at night. When can you finally lean back and say, okay, we're good, we're secure enough? When is the job actually finished? And that question, it throws us right into this huge paradox. See, on one side, the work of cybersecurity is literally never ending. There's just no such thing as 100% perfect security. It doesn't exist. But on the other side, the budget is very finite. The cash register closes on December 31st, right? The money runs out. So how in the world do you make those two conflicting realities work together? Well, the answer is all about changing our entire perspective. We've got to stop thinking about cybersecurity as just another IT cost center. Instead, we need to think about its real purpose in the business. And this, right here, is the aha moment. Here it is. This is the new definition we should all be using. Cybersecurity is the business of revenue protection. That's it. It's short, it's powerful, and I'm telling you, once this clicks, it changes absolutely everything. The goal isn't just about blocking viruses or stopping attacks. It's about making sure the company can keep the lights on, keep making money, and keep doing what it's supposed to do. And this quote just illustrates that economic principle perfectly. It seems so obvious, doesn't it? But you'd be surprised how many organizations get this completely backward. They spend and spend without ever asking the most basic question: what's the actual value of the thing we're trying to protect here? Which, of course, leads us to the real challenge. What is that magic number? If we know we shouldn't spend $100 to protect something worth 10, should we spend $1, $5, $9.99? How do we figure out the right amount to invest? And this brings us to the most common and, frankly, the most flawed way companies try to answer that question. They just look around. They look over their shoulder to see what everyone else is doing. They fall right into what I call the benchmarking trap. So let's take a look at what the herd is up to. According to Gartner, if you're in the 10th percentile, you're at the low end of the spectrum. You might call this the cross your fingers and hope for the best level. It's about $334 per employee. Then it more than doubles to the middle of the pack, the median spend, which is $709. This is what you'd call the industry norm. It's just enough to feel like you're doing something. And then boom, it jumps again, all the way up to the 90th percentile, over $1,600 per employee. This is the number that makes your CFO start to sweat. This is the very expensive option. And when you look at it like this, what's just wild is the range, right? We're talking from a little over $300 all the way up to $1,600. That's not a small difference. So, okay, if your strategy is follow the herd, well, which part of the herd are you supposed to follow? The front? The back? See, the data itself doesn't give you the answer. It just shows you how all over the place everyone else is. And here's the hard truth. Trying to find your answer in these benchmarks, it's a total trap. It's a fallacy. Just because your competitor's wasting money in one area doesn't mean you should go ask for a bigger budget to waste money in the same way. We can be smarter than that. In fact, the real goal here is the complete opposite. The ultimate win is to build a fantastic, super effective security program for less than what your peers are spending. That kind of efficiency, it doesn't just save you a few bucks, it becomes a genuine competitive advantage for your whole company. Okay, so if we're not just going to follow the benchmarks, what do we actually do? This is where we get practical. Let's introduce a framework for getting this right. We'll call it the 6-shooter strategy, and it's all about one thing: focusing only on what is truly material. So, to get in the right headspace, I want you to give yourself a new title. From now on, you're a material CISO. Think material girl, but for security. It's not about shiny new tools or fancy brand names. It's about the business. Your job isn't to fix every little risk out there. It's to focus on the ones that materially impact the business. So what does material even mean? Well, a material risk is anything that could seriously negatively kneecap the company. We're talking about the big stuff: a massive ransomware attack that shuts you down, a data breach that ends up on the front page of the news, or multi-million-dollar fines from regulators.
These are the kinds of problems that are so big, they basically create their own budgets to get solved.
And that's where this whole six-shooter idea comes into play. Just picture it. You've got one six-shooter and only 6 bullets in the chamber. That's it. You can't just start firing at everything that moves, right? You have to pick your targets. So for the entire year, you identify just 6 and only 6 material problems that you're going to solve. That kind of ruthless focus, it creates incredible urgency. And believe me, your success rate goes way, way up. I mean, try to tackle 50 things at once. You and I both know you'll end up getting nothing meaningful done.
Okay, so we've got a new goal, protecting revenue. And we've got a new strategy, focusing on material risks. So how does this all come together to finally give us the real answer on how much we should spend? Well, that brings us to the final and most important piece of the puzzle.
Ultimately, it all boils down to this single idea. The right amount to spend on cybersecurity is a business decision, not a technical one. The security team provides the data and the options, but the business has to decide what level of risk it's willing to accept to stay profitable and hit its goals.
Let's make this real with an example. Let's say your data shows that for a company your size, a big ransomware attack is going to cost about $4.5 million. And based on the threat landscape, you figure it's likely to happen about twice a year. Well, that means your estimated annual loss from this one material risk is a cool $9 million. Now, you don't just go to the business and say, give me money. You go with options to reduce that $9 million risk. You could say, look, for $100,000, we can harden our Active Directory. For $750K, we can get a much better email gateway. Or for $1.5 million, we can build rock-solid immutable backups. Each one chips away at that risk, but at a very different price point. So which one is the right choice? The $100,000 option? The $1.5 million one? Well, the answer is any of them could be right. It all depends on the company's appetite for risk. A business that's willing to gamble might pick the cheapest option. A super conservative, risk-averse company, they might decide to do all three. It's a strategic decision, not a technical one. Okay, let's wrap this up and really nail down the key takeaways from this whole explainer. Number 1, reframe cybersecurity as revenue protection. It's a game changer. 2, the amount you spend is a business decision, and it's driven by risk appetite. 3, benchmarks are fine to look at, but they are a guide, not a rule you have to follow. And finally, number 4, true efficiency in security isn't about being cheap, it's about creating a powerful competitive edge. And that leaves us with one last question, and this one is for you to think about. Take a hard look at your own organization. Are you treating your security budget as a strategic tool to build a real competitive advantage? Or is it still just another line item on an expense sheet? Because the answer to that question, well, it changes everything.